Let's go for it. All right, ladies and gents, welcome back to the platform. I am your host with hopefully the most, Kareem. We have another special guest in the house today. Before I introduce her or bring her on, ladies and gents, I trust and hope you guys are having as much fun on this platform as I am, and you're learning something from what I and a lot in this realm of I don't want to call it sickness, conditions are dealing with. With that said, I want to introduce my group member, support group member, Annmarie Nawrocki. Annmarie, did I pronounce that
Mhm.
correctly?
Oh, you got it.
Awesome. Awesome. Spot on. I want to always make sure I have the introductory portions of that correct. She also runs Mental Health Mondays on Facebook in conjunction with the Sumaria Foundation. So if you ever want to check that out, ladies and gents, you can look up the website, or you can go on Facebook and punch in mental health when Mondays. Why do I want to say Wednesdays? Um, and look up her name. We'll tag that in the end of the discussion, so you can see her name and look up the group, and delve in and listen. It's not a bad thing to be in a support group, ladies and gents. It helps, I promise you.
Hmm.
And with that said and done, welcome our guest, Annmarie. Welcome to it. How are you?
I am all right. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. We got our bumps, we got our bruises, we got our scrapes, we got our cuts, we got our scars, but I do not allow that to stop me from living and living my life to the fullest, you know?
Yeah, and it's Friday, so I mean, who could freaking complain about it? So
TGIF.
you know it. I'm like, it's Friday,
TGI.
so who could complain?
Indeed. Let your hair down and kick your feet up, right?
Oh yeah, hair's down right now. Oh yeah.
So, Anne-Marie, let's do this. Let's introduce you to the platform so folks can get to know you a little bit. Yeah, and tell them, you know, about your diagnosis, how it's been for you, work experience, and all these things. I mean, don't rush it. We'll get into them in categories for sure, but just let them know on surface level who you are, and when did you come to find out about your NMO, and how's life been before, during, and after that.
Um, all right. So we'd really have to take like the that whole time machine and go way the hell back to like 2002. Um, and honestly, that was when uh, I was, shit, I'm going to be dating myself now. Now you're going to know exactly how old I am, but, so I was 16 and I went like completely paralyzed from my waist down. And doctors at the local hospital had no clue what was going on. Um, so they just kind of labeled me as having transverse myelitis, sent me through the whole rigmarole of steroids, physical therapy, yada yada, and sent me on my way. And to save y'all from doing the entirely long story, I'm sure you could find it on the Sumira Foundation's website under like my story. But yeah, fast forward a couple years, and then they developed the antibody test for NMO in 2004. And I went blind in one eye and then blind in the other. And they figured, well, this is not this doesn't line up with transverse myelitis, as you know, Kareem. So uh, the doctors were like, well, we have no idea what the hell you have. you better go to a university hospital. So we packed up all the records and, all those wonderful paper records you had at the time. And, and went up to Northwestern, and Dr. at Northwestern was like, I think you have Davick's disease, as it was known at the time. And he said, go to the Mayo Clinic and get tested. So go to the Mayo Clinic, do the whole spiel of MRIs, scans, lumbar punctures, blood work, and get the stamp of approval. You've got Devick's disease, aka now NMOSD. So, you know, and then you look on the internet back then, which had little to no information on this crap. And they were like, you have a 5-year mortality rate.
Oh, yeah.
So tell that to an 18-year-old. It's like,
Right.
uh, thank you. We've learned a heck of a lot more since then. Um, but
I, I feel like at 18, your body, your nervous system was on extra panic level at this point.
yeah, but we're just going to pretend that parents aren't listening to this, because that didn't stop me from going out and doing underage drinking and or having fun. Um, and all this stuff, because it was like, whatever, I'm gonna live, I'm gonna have fun with my friends, and so
Right.
it didn't stop me. I still still went to school, went to college, and it even drove me to going into more kind of like healthcare driven fields, because once, and I'm sure you've seen it, when you've been the patient and you know what it's like to be in the bed and you experience it, you're like, you've dealt with the good ones, you've dealt with the bad ones.
Hmm.
And I'm in my head, I was like, I could do so much better. I could be more compassionate than some of these people that were caring for me. So,
Indeed.
so that's when I went in. I was like, I'm going to go into healthcare. And that was kind of like my journey. So I dealt with relapse after relapse after relapse, pseudo and or true relapse over the years. And it got me through to where I dysfunctionally am today.
Mm.
As I say that lovingly. Yes. So,
But you're the only person that can say that. No one else can possibly say that, and it sounds ultimately right.
oh
You
yeah.
know.
Yeah. I just, I'm just like, yeah. I mean, it's been it's been a ride. I mean, can't even lie about it, but um, being the first, because in like 2015, it's like right before I was gonna turn 30, I went completely blind and paralyzed from my neck down from like a really bad relapse.
Wait, double back just a little, Emery. The
Yeah.
your bandwidth just kind of went in and out a little bit. So maybe like the last few words that you said after 2015.
Okay. After 2015, like March of 2015,
Hmm.
I right before I was gonna turn 30, I went completely blind and paralyzed from my neck down.
Jesus.
So spent like 6 months in and out of like the hospital and the Rehabilitation Institute of Chicago,
Hmm.
uh, until they eventually kicked me out and said, go home, you've been here long enough. Um, some of the PCPs, they were like my mamas. They take care of me, and you build relationships with them and then, they're, like I said, they're like, go home. You've been here long enough. Just go home. You can handle yourself there. You could do outpatient and manage. So,
As you're paralyzed from the neck down. Thanks. Thanks.
well, well, it took me those 6 months to get up and walking with a walker.
Hmm.
So, I'm still completely blind, like I am today, but I was up and walking around with a walker. So that's when they were like, nah, you're good enough to go home and just work with, outpatient rehab
Yeah.
because, you don't need to be in a hospital any longer. With our immune systems too being so touchy and
Everywhere.
yeah, yeah.
Hypersensitive to
Uh,
everything.
uh-huh. They're like, we
Uh-huh.
don't need you in this kind of environment to get potentially sick and have another relapse, so go home.
Right. How was that the journey of like being able to walk again, like that rehabilitative state? How was that?
Ah, it was like being a 29-year-old toddler, but um it was yeah, it was kind of like Frankenstein. And the guy I was the guy that I'm dating now, I was trying to explain to him that those what they would use, which was kind of cool, the those like exoskeletons.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. They put,
Exactly.
yeah.
So they would like strap me into these machines because I would have to get used to being upright after
Mm,
being in bed and laying down for such a long period of time. So it's like then they try and get you used to being, from bed. They'd have to get your angle so that you don't get too dizzy being upright. And then from there, they have to try and get your legs moving one at a time. And so they have you in the kind of like the exoskeleton. So you look kind of like I use like the machine in Aliens because that's the only thing I could kind of help people
yeah.
figure it out
You were
from.
you were Ripley for a little while.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I was my own Ripley without the weapons systems.
Right.
So, uh, but yeah, that was like holy cow, this is advanced, man.
Yeah.
So that was
Yeah.
that
No,
was pretty cool.
I get what you're saying though. I mean, in my case, they were able to catch mines early,
Hmm.
because I was able to get myself to the emergency. Well, I was able to get myself to the emergency room early, but with a little bit of a forced push from my sports medicine doctor,
Yeah.
and my symptoms didn't come on strongly until I was actually in the hospital. So I pretty much was in the right place at the right time before they really hit surface hard.
Mm.
And then, have to have my family like panic, like, what's going on? You just walked up the stairs. Why are you falling on your face right about now? No. Um, but I get what you were saying about the whole Bambi legs, because I was able to walk myself to the hospital perfectly fine. And then when I got my bed, I remember walking to the bathroom to put my toiletries away. And all of a sudden, it was like my knees were buckling, my ankles went stiff, and I was just like, "Whoa, what is this right about now?" But thankfully, no falls or anything like that. But yeah, that notion is a
Hmm.
surreal moment, very surreal moment.
Oh,
And how'd you handle that? Like mentally, like when that happens to you, you were 29 and you have a lack of vision, well, complete loss of vision at this point, right?
oh yeah.
And your body, you don't have any legs to walk on. Like mentally, how did you process like literally the world caving in on you like this?
I mean, at that point, I couldn't move my arms or legs, and I couldn't see. So it was. It was just kind of I, it was me stuck inside my head. And it was, yeah, it was just without being like figurative and literal, it was me in a dark place, no
Mhm.
pun intended,
Mhm.
because there's no vision. But yeah, I was super depressed, but I'm like, this isn't my nature. Snap out of it because I'm the goofy person. As as you've seen in the groups, I'm like the one that's always sarcastic and kind of like trying to make light of things. So I'm like, this is not me. Snap
Mhm.
out of it.
Mhm.
So it took some time, to try and just see like, okay, this isn't the end all be all. Yeah, so I have to just call for the nurse by blowing into a straw. I think to the right, I think to the left was to turn on the TV, and to the right to blow into that straw was to call for the nurse. So those were like the two options. But if you wanted to change the channels, you had to like blow, you know, blow again over and over into the straw. And then it was just like, oh my God, then you'd hyperventilate. You couldn't find something you wanted. So I was just like, screw it. Blow into the nurse once. You're like, just turn off the TV. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But
That's
then as like more stuff starts coming back and they start doing more therapy and like the eSIM, which I know you're familiar with,
mm, mhm.
and all the steroids and the plasmapheresis and everything just starts coming back slowly. Then you start to just, I don't know, kind of come into your own, and then more positivity comes along as more abilities come along too. So,
Right. Yeah, I feel for me like once I was in the hospital, I was such in a curious state. Like there was really no panic switch for me, to be quite
mhm.
honest. And my doctors looked at me like, man, what is wrong with you? Like people would be flipping out, ready to, smash their heads on the wall, going, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? And you're just taking it as it comes. And, you're so stoic about this. And I was like, well, this is another time for me to have that learning curve to understand what's going on and to navigate around or away from this. So, as much information as they gave, it was much as I took in. And as soon
Mhm.
as they left that room, thank God I had my computer there. I would just, Google search what was being said, what these symptoms were, what was going on, and, add the therapy to it. So it was more for me, it was like read and apply, read and apply, read and apply. And that's how I really got through this whole hospital stint. Um, so by the time the PTs came around, they looked at me and they were like, "Well, there's nothing we really need to do for you because you're walking, navigating through the hallways. I wasn't a little stiff ankling in my right ankle,
Mm,
and till this day, like my right ankle, it gets really really loose and really really stiff at times. Um, but I think that was the biggest thing. Um, and the other symptoms that came in my favor, um when the water touches your skin, it feels like it's shocking or burning you, um
right.
or clothing, um partial feeling on my thighs at certain landmarks, posterior and anterior portion of my upper torso on my left side literally just feels like a really thick piece of plastic. Has that ever happened to you?
The burning and like the fact where, yeah, the fabric and
Mm.
stuff like that. The plastic, not so much.
Yeah,
You're intriguing me there, dude. I haven't had the plastic really as much, but yeah, the
it
burning and like I feel like raw, like someone rubbed my skin with a loofah or like an SOS pad to where
uh-huh.
hurts when people or skin touch it. People or clothing touch it, I should say.
Yeah, yeah,
What does that
yeah.
plastic
It's
feel
it's
like?
a weird thing to navigate. What does it feel like? Um,
Hmm. Like
well,
foreign?
I mean, it is very foreign because it's your body, but it doesn't. It feels like something is just sitting on top of you. Now, like thick. Oh man, I don't really have a real caption for it because again, it's such a weird feeling. Like it's your body, but it just does not feel like your body. It's just like an artificial foreign substance just on you, you know? Um, so like when the doctors are doing physicals, like I know you're touching me if I see it, but if I don't see you doing it, I would have no inkling that your stethoscope was on my back or my chest. You know, it just feels like a foreign, thick substance. You know? So I mean, it to give it a caption,
Huh, that's interesting.
it's almost minus zero, -1. Uh
Like a
yeah,
numbing?
it's a weird thing. Um, yeah, yeah. Or if I can put it this way, like a thick piece of clay. That's what it feels like, a thick piece of
Mm-hmm.
clay, you know? Is it hot or cold? Yes and no, maybe, but that's just what it feels like, a thick substance just on your body, although it is your body. You know, it's such a weird thing. Um, and there's times like even when I'm sitting down, like there's partial feeling to my hamstrings and my glutes. Um, and when I sit down, I always have to like reconfirm with myself with my hands to make sure I'm sitting in the center of the seat for fear of sliding or just falling out of that seat. You know, so that's one of those things you can disguise just by, you know, just securing yourself fully. But I don't know, has that ever happened to you where you had to like, disguise it, or has that feeling never happened to you where you just don't have, or has that even come back for you where you have that feeling of like, oh, I'm sitting down and the surface is hot or the surface is cold or the surface is rough. Has that come back for you?
Well, I was trying not to laugh or smile when you were talking about trying to reach down and make sure that you're centered on the chair because I do that all the time. Um, it's like, oh, am I
Mm,
still sitting here? It's like sometimes I feel like I'm going to go sideways off the chair when I'm sitting down, and I'm like, oh no, I'm perfectly centered. Why do I feel like I'm going to slide down? Who knows?
yeah, right.
It's a freaking weird phenomenon, but it's it's there. It's like I don't know how else to describe it, but
It
yeah, it's
is.
there.
Right.
Yeah,
It's a nasty shadow to have, man. It's a really nasty shadow.
yeah. And I mean, like some
How
of
were
the
you
other
able to
stuff.
like,
Go ahead.
yeah, go for it. Some of
Oh no,
the other
I was just
stuff.
gonna say like some of the other stuff that that we have is like I mean, do you have like banding around your chest at all?
Not my chest, my torso.
Or like
More
the
like the
torso
lower
part? Yeah.
abdomen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So mine goes around the entire lower abdomen up the lateral side of my left back of the left side of my back. That's where it reaches. I'm like the left side of my back and down the rest of my torso. That's a
Hmm.
weird feeling too, because it feels like my body's pulling me in two different directions and my abdomen is rotating in two different directions. So that's another one to navigate in itself that's undescribable to people. Those invisible symptoms that they don't see, you know?
Mm-mm. And if I try to describe as I tried to describe the banding, and like the tingling slash constricting
Hmm.
tightening feelings of all that, to doctors in the ER. I actually had one idiot doctor say like, well, that's too tight bra syndrome.
No way.
I, I swear it probably took every ounce of energy in my body at that time to not leap off of that hospital bed and hit the man because I'm like, that's not the case.
Right. And is
You
there such
know,
a thing as too tight bra syndrome? That's a thing.
no, it's not a thing. That's a problem. It's him just saying it to be a facetious jerk. So I was just like, no, because I know for a fact he couldn't. I went to before all of my eyesight and everything went. I went to like I went to nursing school. I went to physical therapy assistant school. I went to massage school. So I have a lot of healthcare crap under my belt. So he
Right.
can't sit there and tell me that it's too tight bra syndrome when I know for a fact that there are nerve bands and tracts that can become inflamed and you get that sensation from. So
Hmm.
swinging a miss doodles. Um,
Right. And for better note, doctors, you are not allowed to say things like that. To cut that out forever. You know?
dude, they would leave my like hospital bay, go right out to their computers outside of like go outside the curtains. They'd go out there and they would Google
Mhm.
NMO. And I was like, I've had it for so long. Why don't you just ask me?
Right.
I could tell you more
Right.
than Google could.
Oh my gosh. Like, what was your experience? Like, I hated going to the ER. Not to say I've ever been in the ER. So with this diagnosis for me, first time ever in my life, actually, no, well, in my yeah, I want to say in my life, really being in the hospital. The
Yeah.
last time I was in the hospital, one, the day of my birth, two, what was I? Three or four when I had to get my tonsils removed. Who hasn't been in the hospital for that, right? But going to the ER and telling them why I'm here,
Yeah.
what was pissing me off was the whole pain syndrome thing. Like the ER is just hell bent on pain, 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 pain. And no matter how much you tell them, okay, well, there's no pain. This is what I'm feeling. This is the symptom. No pain. Nothing hurts. This is what it is. They kept going back to the whole pain scenario. And I'm just kind of like, look, man, I'll never be able to get in here because I'm ready to walk out of here because the whole pain thing was just getting under my skin at this point.
Hmm.
So I don't know. They're really textbook and not, for lack of a better term, human at times. You know?
Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. We were working with like at the Sumira Foundation, we're working, and I think the foundation might actually have it. We have like a little it's like a little like cheat sheet or like a reference guide that we're trying to help patients have for like when you go into ERs and stuff like that. So it's like, okay, here you go.
Hmm.
It's like more like a quick little fact sheet of, okay, this is what I have, this is what I'm dealing with.
Right.
You
Right.
know.
That's definitely helpful. Can you expound on the foundation a little bit? And as you do that, tell the audience about the Mental Health Mondays as well. That I think that's pretty awesome. And I still have to get there one of these Monday nights. I'm shooting for Monday, so if you don't see me, don't be upset. It's just I'm wrapped around this thing, but I did reserve my seat.
Oh, I don't take anything personally. Um, I missed our group last night because I was at a continuing education class for my massage therapy license. So I was like, oh. Um, but yeah, the Sumira Foundation, I came across her back in like 2019 when I was at a patient conference, and I was like, I need to be a part of this foundation. So then I applied to work with them because we are 100% um, patient advocates. So we are all patient run. And we have patient advocates. Well, we started out here in the United States, and then we spread out to Europe, Africa, Asia, South America, and we're everywhere now.
Yeah, I saw that on the website. I thought that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's just so we offer these support groups online in all different languages, and it's just trying to, work with different countries and different people to try and get, you know, testing and information out to people and to doctors and everyone around the world because, there are so many misconceptions and, misdiagnoses as
Hmm.
well. So just trying to be the mouth that gets out there.
Yeah. You said misdiagnoses. I mean, when I first heard about the NMO and I was reading about it, and some of the literature says sometimes it could be misdiagnosed as MS. I was like, oh God, no. I hope this is not. I think that's the one that set the shock value up my nervous system. I was just like, I hope this is not one of those things. But thankfully, it didn't turn out to be that at all. Um, but yeah, the misdiagnosed thing, that scares me. Um, I remember working with a patient who had Parkinson's disease, and
Mm.
they misdiagnosed her with I forget what the other condition was, but they misdiagnosed her Parkinson's or that condition with her Parkinson's. So truly and honestly, she never had Parkinson's disease. It was whatever else the condition was prior. And I was just kind of like, man, they had this lady on all sorts of medication, which
Ugh.
her body didn't need, and come to find out, she has something else other than what she was being treated for. That is crazy. That is crazy.
Yeah. But when you look at people who have NMO, some of the ones that were previously diagnosed with MS and were treated on like MS medications, they got worse
Mm-hmm.
because the MS medications target different cells and different processes. So,
Mm-hmm.
they were on that for years and it's not targeting the right channels and everything. So then you could think you're on the right thing, you're doing all the right stuff, but in the meantime, your body's still getting these attacks under the radar. So,
Yeah. Wow. Um,
yeah.
have you ever tried anything holistically for your I mean, you know, uh, obviously it wouldn't do anything for the vision loss, but as far as your rest of your body, have you ever tried anything holistically? Changing diet, maybe fasting, um, maybe like other therapies like red light therapies. I was talking to Dora Chan about this. She was on the second episode, and we
Yeah.
were talking about like holistic treatments, the red light therapy, versus and natural sunlight versus artificial lights and all these different things. Have you ever tried or considered applying that to your life now or prior?
Oh, poor Dora. She's working with me now. Um,
I love Dora. She's great.
Dora, if you're listening, yes, I am working on I am working on making my diet better. She knows. I've warned her in advance. I said, this girl has a sweet tooth, and yup. So trying to get onto that like better diet and, trying to get more of the anti-inflammatory onto a more anti-inflammatory diet, possibly to
Mhm.
see if, some of that might help. But I mean, in the past, like back in maybe 2010, 2011, somewhere around there, I tried doing some like Eastern medicine techniques. So um, I tried acupuncture and I was trying to do some, oh gosh, what was he doing? Like homeopathic medications. So that was kind of the extent of what I tried.
Did you feel any residual effects from it
Mm-mm.
or no? No.
No.
Yeah, and that's the thing with these autoimmunes. I mean, you can try so many different things, but if it doesn't click, it just does not click. I feel not just with autoimmunes, with pretty much anything though. I feel like if it just doesn't stick, you move on to the next if the next works, I suppose.
Yeah. Did you try any of them or no?
Um, so not with the NMO, with the lupus.
Yeah.
Um, and folks, if I didn't mention this before, before NMOSD, I was diagnosed with lupus SLE in the height of quarantine. So this was 2020. I can't remember if it was February or March, but somewhere around there. Um, Moving forward, I did find a functional medicine doctor in the city, Manhattan. Um, and he was working well with me. He gave me a lot of tonics and detoxing liquids to use. And it definitely worked. Like, a lot of gut health things going on there. So things were on an upward trajectory. Um, but it's even with insurance, it's just purchasing these medicines. They are not the cheapest thing.
Mm-mm.
Um, but you do what you got to do to make sure your body and your life is better in that function. Um, but moving forward, when things started changing with my legs, it was just kind of like I don't know where this is coming from. All of a sudden, I'm walking with a limp. My lupus is managed. What else is going on here? And then, bang, here we are. January 24th, 2025. Life just changed. Lupus didn't change life. NMOSD did,
Hmm.
you know. Um,
The
but yeah, it was a hard pivot on that one. Very, very hard pivot. But how was that for you? I mean, with vision loss. And so how you said it was 6 months before you were able to walk again about that?
Yeah, it was about 6 months before like I was walking decently with like a walker. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're dealing with that. At least you're on your feet. The
Hmm.
vision loss.
Hmm.
How that's a very different worldly pivot. How is that for you?
I was a visual learner, so that sucked. Um, because I always had plans on going back to school.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, needless to say, I have everyone that I know and loves faces stored in my brain.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all like, yes, you remember how we looked back then? Yeah, we look exactly the same. None, our grays haven't changed. We don't have any grays, none of that,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why my little dog has oh God, she's 13 and a half now. So when I got her, I had her for like 2 years before I lost my eyesight.
Wow.
So I can't picture her having her little white face that she has now. Um, but I'm just like, good Lordy, how, you lose that key component and what a big, big role it plays in with your balance and everything.
Hmm.
But it's one of those things, and this is gonna sound kind of weird, but I mean you'll probably understand it. At, at least I had it.
Yeah.
To know what a sunrise looks like, to know what a zebra looks like,
Hmm.
like to know what I look like, it's because there are so many things it's like would be so hard to like explain to someone who's never had eyesight to experience those things.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like people use the term, I'll do it tomorrow, way too loosely because you don't know
Mhm.
what's going on tomorrow. You know, minus tomorrow, hell, you may only have 2 hours, and to lose something like your eyesight, which is every human's like dependency on, when that goes, I think you did the right thing. Remember the smiles and the young faces and the non-white patchy face of the dog now. Like those things are embedded in your brain. So why not remember it that way? Especially if it can bring a nice smile to your face. Um, but yeah, I think that's what human society, because they're so watered down, they depend on tomorrow too much rather than being in the present moment. You know what I mean? So, yeah,
Yeah.
I think it looks like that. I think it looks like that.
Well, that's why one of the things I'm actually trying to one of the like modalities I'm trying to work on for and look at in like mental health is kind of like mindfulness and how we could all kind of work on it. Just being like present. I mean, I'm sure
So,
you've probably done. Have you tried meditation or anything?
um, I have, but I'm going to tell you my meditation because yeah, I'm not a sit still person, and I know you don't really have to sit still for meditation,
No.
but my meditation, to be honest with you, when I wake up, the first thing I do after washing my face and brushing my teeth is working out. And a lot of my workouts are in a flow moment because, I box and I do a little Muay Thai and things like that. So I really put myself in a flow state and just allow my body to be in union with the activity. And that's exactly how I meditate. So no thinking whatsoever. It's just feel the motion in your body, feel your balance, and just flow through this thing. Um, and a lot of my best thoughts and things that I want to do, that's how they happen in that flow state. So that's my meditation and how, I get to get myself started for the rest of the day. Um, but yeah, I think that's the best caption for it. Um, what are some of the things that you delve into um, in the class, the mental health Mondays? I'm sure it's probably not like mine, but
Oh no, no. We talk. I mean, I touch on kind of like a little bit of everything. I
Mhm.
kind of ask people what they would like to talk about in advance to kind of see if there's anything that they would want to talk about. I mean, we started off talking about stress and then um, you know, the like the disabled label
Mhm.
like last year, and then we were talking about, how to give yourself some self-love in February, because obviously that's not something that we all do enough, you know. It's like we
Hmm.
always beat ourselves up if we do something wrong, and you know, that's, you know, forgiving ourselves and being kinder is only going to help us, you know, come to a better place. You know, it's kind of, you know, just little things and trying to go with the little whatever impacts us as patients
Right,
and what's going on in like the world around us and try and ram everything and jumble it all together.
right, right. Well,
Tie it all up with a bow.
For Anne Marie, what is your self-love and how do you navigate away from the stressors of life and of the world?
Well, I'm glad you can't hear me singing when I walk around and I'm dancing around the house. But that is my jam. I put music on. It can be like it could be 80s rock or just horrible 80s music or like some like jams from the 90s because I was really getting into that funk the other day with like 90s rock and just blast it and then sing along with it
Uh-huh.
and just getting to that just other place of, you know, not really having to care, just getting in with the music, kind of like you do with your exercising. Is just like listening to the music just kind of takes me away.
Hmm. Hmm.
And then I have to self-love wise, I have to exercise though. That's gonna have to be my thing.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have
yeah,
to focus more on that because I've kind of steered away from it and I need to dive back into it more.
yeah. I get it. That mind, body, and soul connection is nothing like it.
Hmm.
Nothing like it. I have a thing where I mean, I listen to abundance of things. It depends on, how you wake up and how you feel in the morning. But a lot of times I'm listening to like these stoic um meditation mantras. And a lot of it is, like we said, how to give yourself self-love, how to step away from things that, are stressing you out, how to how to be on your own, in order to be able to learn who you are and grow as a person and grow through the things that you might or have encountered that you don't understand. Because best believe, like, we're always going to face those things that we don't understand. And it's probably going to piss you off and you're probably going to feel, confused about these things. So I listen to a lot of these things and I never had an issue with being on my own, but listening to these things, it just for me, I never really realized how much it resonates with me as a person. And
Yeah,
I guess my personality too. People like to say, "Oh my God, you're such a lone wolf." Not that I'm not. It's just, I don't mind being around people, but I separate myself from the things that are just not, credible to me, and the things that are probably going to piss me off. I should probably leave right now, or the people that are probably going to stress me out. I separate myself from that. So, yeah, those things, they definitely resonate in my life in full.
right.
Mhm. Full. Oh, so this is why I was able to take like the diagnosis and uh, the hospital stay, I guess, so well, because I guess I'm that person that takes the bitter with the sweet, and just learn and grow from this specific situation. Um, yeah, I think I feel like every human being should understand who they are by being a little bit or having some alone time. Not just a little bit, a lot of alone time, unless you're like mommy or daddy. Well, that job just doesn't stop. But, some alone time is very beneficial.
Yeah. But you know, all of my friends and people in like my close circles have kind of they've been around so long and grown to kind of understand it all. So they've been there kind of through like thick and thin.
Right.
So some of them have actually been around through, you know, during relapses, you know, when they're actually like actively starting up. So
Hmm.
it's,
Hmm.
so it's like, you know, some friends have seen that going on and, you know, so lots of people that I know have, you know, experienced it with me. So I don't know. And in a way, I'm kind of like that weird little teaching tool to like the people around me, which I mean, I honestly don't mind being, but
I mean, you said it right. We are that teaching tool. In a lot of ways, I think we are like the superhuman people on the planet, not just us, but people who are dealing with these things that, people can't see, and how much they try to like correlate their issues with our issues. We're like those superhuman people because we see it differently, and we're so um hyper aware of what the world is that we can navigate it differently and bring resolution to what people don't really understand in a way that they can understand it. So a teaching tool, yeah, absolutely. Because then we can break it down to, hey, what if, and the what if, and then they go, wow, I've never looked at it or understood it that way before. And I mean, that's anything, because I mean, at this point, we are so like in the case of walking at this point, we are so hyper aware of what the terrain may feel like, you know, and what your body may feel like, or temperature and weather. We are so hyper aware of that now. It's kind of like nobody can understand it the way we can. But then we explain it and they're going, oh, ding, light bulb, I get it now. After being the quote unquote normal individual and you never got it from before. So I always look at it that way and go, well, we haven't changed. We've just been replanted to give you a different perspective on things.
yeah. And I think you even touched on it before in one of the in the other groups where we brought up how we have more after we've been in these shoes and we've been kind of thrown into it. It's like we have more of an empathetic view that
Hmm.
other people don't. We see the
Yep.
world differently. It's like, well, you know, they could see us as being like the weird, wobbly person, and they could see us as that, but it's like we understand that, you know, that person that's wobbly could have a problem because we know that invisible diseases and invisible conditions exist. So,
Right.
you know, we know the
Yeah.
options that are out there.
Yeah, no, totally. Totally. We're indeed special people. We are. I don't care how much people, say about medication, this, that, and the other. We are indeed special individuals. And I would never look at it any less than that. Because right now I do have a Superman t-shirt on, and I'm going to carry
Uh-huh.
myself that way.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Uh-huh.
I am always going to be a super individual, Marie, telling you, always. Oh my gosh. So a couple more things before we end it. How was work work life for you and home life for you after you really had to make that really hard pivot to quote unquote a new life? How'd that turn out?
I mean, like before, so before all this crap went down in 2015, I was working as a massage therapist. Um, so I was legally blind from the disease. Um, so I could still see. I needed to use like magnifiers and all that to see charts, see computers and all that. But that was my quote unquote normal
Mhm.
until this whole pivot. So then when that happened and all blind and paralysis, you know, from the neck down happened, then yeah, I didn't know what to do with myself, so I went back to school and then got my bachelor's in psych, master's in social work, and it's then it's been kind of a interesting journey since then,
Mhm.
sticking with like advocacy and volunteering with the Sumira Foundation and uh I don't want to say that workplaces suck, um, but they do because, when you're someone who's disabled, they discriminate like hell. Um, so they didn't want to afford you as many opportunities. And they can lie and say like, oh, equal opportunity. I could say blow it out there, you know what? uh, but yeah, it's rough to find places that will actually you know, take you on and
Yeah.
allow you to work from home like I require since I have problems walking and all of that. So it's a stretch, but
So, do you still practice psych and social work?
I work remotely for I've been like a remote therapist for Talkspace for a couple of years. Um and then I'm with I've been with like this other practice too. So yeah. I mean, obviously it's not like super busy, but just getting
It
on
keeps you
by.
busy. Yeah,
Huh?
it keeps you busy. It keeps you busy.
Yeah, well, family keeps me busy.
That's
Healthcare and going to doctor's appointments and physical therapy keeps me busy. I know you have the gym, so that's you know.
I get it. I totally get it.
Uh,
Um, as far as the social work, anything you can, rally to the audience as far as like, about disabilities or anything or disability benefits, like anything you can tell them about that, how to approach that or inquire about that if they have a condition such as ours or something else as far as autoimmune.
yeah. Uh, documentation, documentation. I cannot stress that enough. Make sure you have everything, and your doctors will, you know, do what they can. Because good old Uncle Sam does not make it easy.
Hmm.
Um, but thankfully, uh, our condition, if you have like if you're showing like the symptoms, it's pretty black and white. Um, and I had no problems getting on it. Got back when I was like 25.
Hmm.
So it's been a hot minute. Um, but it's one of those things where it's It's still limiting, but you know, it helps in some ways and then it hinders you in others. So, trying to get on it is I think is just good because it helps you with the treatments. Um,
Right.
because they are so if you have, you know, our condition like NMO, these cost a pretty penny. I mean, you could be saying like 60 grand a month.
Yeah.
Uh, which I don't know anybody who can afford that. Um, so
That's when you find a bag sitting somewhere and you take the long way home.
yeah, or rob a Brinks truck. I, it's, it's crazy, but it's with other conditions too. I mean, people who have, and I could only imagine how much cancer treatments cost.
Right.
So and their condition is probably black and white as well. So they probably have no problems getting onto like disability, but paperwork and getting your doctors to, asking your doctors to take those first steps and taking the paperwork to them
Hmm.
is, you know, is your first little hurdle, but it's obviously,
It's worth it in the end, I suppose. Yeah.
yeah, it's worth it and it's honestly relatively easy.
Got
And
it. Yeah.
you just print it out and you take it in. So it's just
Something
going
else.
through the whole testing because I think they still have you go through um different tests and to verify that you are disabled and you know prove it. And,
I hope they don't ask me to do push-ups. I mean, it's one of my favorite exercises. I hit that floor and there's body spasms all over the place. I just look like a fish out of water. That'd be insane.
they ain't gonna ask you to do push-ups. They're gonna say like hit the ground and do 20. No, 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 no. No, they'd have you do more of like let us see like your medical records and that kind of proof. Not
Yeah.
like, yeah, no, they ain't gonna have you do any P90X crap. So,
Listen. I mean, we go through a lot, Annmarie. We gotta laugh at this stuff at some point. You know what I mean? We have
ah,
to.
oh yeah, that's
Mm.
why I'm laughing because I tried doing a personal training at LA Fitness some years back
Hmm.
when it was like right before I went blind and this dude at LA Fitness's personal trainer was like trying to get me to do like P90X stuff and jump onto like a platform. And I was like, this not gonna
Oh,
happen.
wow.
And he's looking at me, he's like, well, no, I need you to, this exercise, you have to jump up on here. He's like, jump up, jump down, jump to the side, jump down. I'm like, I have balance problems. This is not gonna happen. And he just looked at me with this confused look on his face. I was like, look, dude, it's not going to happen.
And you're fired. Like what?
I was like, we better find something else to do because ain't
Did
gonna
they
do
not give him paperwork on you? Like what does he mean jump around?
Yeah, well, they don't look this stuff up. So, you know.
Jesus Christ.
Eh,
Oh my. Yeah, the things that I hear, man, I'm telling you, it's baffling, but again, I gotta laugh at it, because it's not far fetched at all.
hmm, mm-mm.
Not far fetched. Insane. But so how's your support? Like when this all first happened and you had to relay this to like family, um, and even a gentleman that you're in a relationship with now, like how'd you relay this to them so they could understand it, and how has the support, because I'm sure the support is there, but were they able to um, what's the word I want to use? I don't want, because it's not a easy thing to transition into. Did they go about doing like, for lack of a better term, oh my gosh, why am I forgetting my words right now? Like
Friday.
support groups. Yeah, it is Friday. Like support groups to understand what support should be like, or how support has changed to cohabitate with like a person, people like with our conditions is what I want to say.
Uh, no, I don't think. I think they just had to change kind of how they um like approached doing things and caring with me.
Mm,
So um it would be in more of like having me feel where something was versus saying like, oh hey, I'm over here to your right, or like
mm.
I'm over here because people, believe it or not, people still do that. I'm like, oh hey, it's up there.
Oh
Up
wow.
up there where? Um it it happens, instructors would do that when I was in school. They're like, oh, create a PowerPoint. Click over here. I'm like, blind people don't use a mouse, you idiots. Um,
I could. I'm only laughing because I can picture that the response in my head in real time. That is that's great.
so having made several PowerPoints in my lifetime, I would just have a family member. I would have like my mom make the PowerPoint and I'd tell her, hey, I want this there, you know, put this there, do that little like swipey transition and animation, bada bing, bada boom. And then I would present it to people having the little earbud in so that my screen reader could get through it. And then, and then just get through it. But,
Right.
everyone around me shifted, I guess, at kind of at the speed that I did.
All right. So it's kind of like they jumped into the deep end of the pool and started swimming.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yep.
That's awesome.
And even like I shouldn't laugh, but I didn't immediately tell the guy that I started dating. I waited a couple of weeks because
Uh-huh.
I met him online.
Okay.
Yeah, so I waited till like 2 weeks in to have after we had conversation. I was like, oh, by the way, I'm completely blind.
You know what? Kudos to him. Tell him I would shake his hand. Kudos to
Yeah.
him because he didn't judge you. That's awesome.
Oh no. Almost. Let's see, what is it? We're in April. June will be 8 years. So,
Congratulations.
oh yeah. Yeah.
Really, shake his hand for me. I
I'll
appreciate him.
smack him upside the head for you. But yeah, some people handle it well, and
And other people say they fold before
yeah.
even starting. Yeah, before it even starts.
Uh-huh.
I get that. I
I'm
get
sure you've
that.
seen it with even some of your own like groups of friends and colleagues.
Oh yeah. Um, Kind of crazy. I don't want to call it a relationship yet, but the last lady that I was starting to see, when I told her exactly what it was, ghosted me while I was in the hospital.
Huh,
Yeah.
nice.
Um, I won't say, hey, I mean, I won't blame you for anything. But it's just kind of like, okay, gotcha, gotcha. So,
Yeah.
take the bitter with the sweet.
Yeah. What's that phrase where they would be like, bye, Felicia.
Indeed.
Didn't need you to
Indeed.
begin with.
Right. you know? So if you're there, you're there. If you're not, you're not. It is what it is.
Yep.
Life goes on. Life goes on. Well,
Mhm.
Marie, this was great. Thank you for jumping onto this discussion with me today. This was awesome.
Yeah. I'm glad we could kind of make each other laugh because, yeah, probably needed that on a Friday.
We need this every day. I guarantee. If I think if it was more laughter in the world, it'd be a lot more caring and sharing and not an abundance of all the nonsense that is currently happening right now. You know,
Yeah.
and it's just way too much nonsense and not enough loving each other. Is what I would chalk it up to.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think human beings need to be human beings again, and that's really what it comes down to. Be human.
No, we've forgotten that part.
Yeah, totally. We're so dummied down at this point. Everybody's a robot.
Oh, don't get me
Everybody.
started on AI. That could be a whole other uh, whole discussion because what AI is doing to people and like their mental health.
Hmm.
I could go off for another hour on that, but I ain't gonna do it. So,
Hey, man. I wish we had another hour so you just so you can actually do it.
oh no, no, you don't want my rant because it's mm. Nope.
This is phenomenal. This is exactly what this always supposed to have. Laughter and no holds bars. Oh my gosh. Emery, I won't keep you any longer because I know you still have a good chunk of the day to go. But ladies and gents, this has been another episode. Episode 4 has been completed. I got to get a clap button, but I'll clap you up. Emery, welcome to the channel. You are a
Clap,
friend to the room. Yes, we're clapping you up. You are a friend to the
clap.
room. And anytime you want to be back on here, the door is wide open. You don't even have to ring the bell. Just come on in. Uh, Ladies and gents, episode 4 of New Journey is concluded. I trust and hope you learned something from it. You understand a little bit better about this condition. Um, and you laughed as much as we did. Until next time,
Hmm.
same channel, probably on that same time, but we'll definitely see you all again. Folks, be well to yourselves, be kind to yourselves, be kind to one another, and we
Mm.
bid you adieu.
Bad you.
Take, take care, ladies and gents.